I'm coming to you from, as you can see, from a log cabin that's on the banks of the Ottawa River, just west of Canada's capital. And I'm theoretically retired. I've had about 50 years in business. My first 25 years were mainly in finance, rising to the position of CFO in a fairly large organization. Then I went into general management, was president for a business for a period of time, and became more and more convinced that people are actually the most critical component of organizational activity. I agree 100% with what Monique said in terms of the importance of leadership. Anything that we talk about related to people has to do with effective leadership. And I spent, after I finished my sort of stint as a CFO, I started my own training and consulting company and did a lot of work in the area of organizational values, organizational culture. And that is indeed the subject of two of the books I've written. One is called Corporate Culture, Combining Values and Purpose. And the other book is called The Cost of Poor Culture, which really talks about the hidden cost of organizations that don't pay attention to exactly the issues that Marty and Monique are talking about, which is the nurturing and responsible stewardship of the people in the organization. We will talk a little bit about the 6 capitals. One of the problems is that we sort of backed into the term human capital because capitals are the resources that organizations use for their business model. And so humans are a key part of the resources. And because they wanted to call everything capital, they ended up calling it human capital. So we kind of backed into that. And we'll talk a bit more about that later. But the most important, the most critical thing is people in the organization. And that is my passion. And there's a number of other books I've written. I'm ashamed to say, recently written a book called Understanding and Reporting Human Capital, which I'm sure if I could see Monique's face, she would be scowling at me at this stage. It's unfortunate that we've used that phrase, but I think we get hung up on the labels, and I would go back to exactly what Marty said. So I look forward to the discussion. Thanks, guys.
And Nick, will you talk a little bit about your involvement in ISO?
Yes, I belong to something called TC 260, Technical Committee 260. We had a discussion in our sort of pre-call about that. It's a series of guidelines and standards and technical specifications around the area of human resources management that started in around, I think it was 2014, that ISO has been working on. The specific area I'm involved in is ISO 30414, which is called Guidelines for Internal and External Reporting of Human Capital. So it has the capital name on it. Interestingly, I went back and checked after our discussion earlier, Mike, and every other document in the series of TC 260 publications refers to human resources. So capital is only used in the terminology of reporting. So I think it'd be interesting to get into how different terms are being used for different purposes when we talk about people. I was chair of the Canadian committee. I'm now just a member of the committee.